And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around your real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning, and so much more. Over 80 show partners now with the Real Estate Quarterback Show and our second brand, the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we all want to entertain you, we want to educate you, we want to enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now I want you to pull out your smartphone, save our Consumer Advocate Hotline number in your phone. It's 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894. And we want you to bookmark our website, realestateradiotampa.com. That's our website, blog site, a plethora of information available at realestateradiotampa.com, as well as consumerqb.com for more health, nutrition, lifestyle, and recreation related. And we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder, if you're throwing a ladder in your truck on the way to work, this show's for you. We want to help you win. This segment is brought to you by Michael Vogt. He's an expert massage therapist over at Back End Health Massage here in Tampa, helping people with neck, back, shoulder, hip, and leg pain feel better. 3750 Gun Highway in Tampa. Voted top 10 massage services in Tampa Bay by the readers of the Tampa Bay Business Journal Best in the Biz Awards. And in studio, special guest, Mr. Bob Henriquez, local Hillsborough County property appraiser, and my friend back in studio. Welcome back in, sir.
Well, it's great to be here, Brandon. It's always a pleasure, and good to see you. And, I guess I get to protect your backside here for,
That's right.
For a few minutes. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, I'm sure we're going to talk a little football. We're going to have, the greatest time of year right now. We got looking forward to a lot of football talk. We also want to educate our taxpayers out there about some things happening in the, on the tax side.
Sure.
And the trim notices just went out. Yeah, trim notices just went out.
Yep. August 19th, so many people got to see my smiling face. Yeah. I'm always much more popular before August. But no, it's an important time for folks. Hopefully they will have received their trim notices and had a chance to read them. It's funny, most people don't read those darn things because at the top it says this is not a bill, which is Greek for I don't need to read this thing. But it's actually been a very quiet kind of trim. Our trim is sort of our go time. Right. Over 500,000 trim notices go out to the property owners of Hillsborough County, but it is a very important time to read that notice. Literally everything that goes into your notice of proposed taxes is in that document.
Yeah, it's interesting. And as a real estate agent, top agent here in Tampa Bay, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, I have some conversations with homeowners. And, there's some confusion sometimes, about square footage that may have been added later, different issues that happen. So I know sometimes folks like to, they like to go in and have an application filed to make changes or potentially, extend a homestead exemption. That cutoff date is coming up as well.
Absolutely. And this is really the time. I mean, all year long, we receive phone calls and folks that come in that they may look at the website and find something that they seem that doesn't seem right, but this is really the time because you have 25 days from the time that you receive your trim notice to officially appeal an exemption or an issue that you may have with your proposed with your value. And so September 13th is the Tuesday, September 13th, which is coming up upon us, is really the drop dead date for Value Adjustment Board petitions. Or just get in touch with us and we can go over things before you decide whether or not you want to file a petition. And also it's the actual late filing deadline for exemptions for 2016. So if you thought that you missed in March, there's sort of an unofficial official deadline for homestead exemption and other exemptions. The real deadline is the end of after trim notices through the Value Adjustment Board period. So September 13th is a big day. So hopefully folks get in touch with us. Let us know if you had any issues with anything that we sent out to you before we pass it on to the taxing authorities, and then it goes to good old Doug Belden, the tax collector, who, it's funny, everywhere I go, people say, oh, I write you a check. No, you write Doug Belden the check. That's the tax collector. He's the one they write badly about in the Bible. Not the property appraiser. We don't appear anywhere in the Bible. But no, but seriously, now's the time, really.
Yeah, definitely. We want you to, if you have any questions, submit the form at realestateradiotampa.com. We're going to make sure we get back to you, Connor or myself. We're going to get back to you before my head hits the pillow and make sure we answer any questions that you may have relating to, the trim notices that went out, any potential changes that you might want to make to your application. And, Bob, let's explain it a little bit as well. Sometimes people are maybe new to the state or maybe first-time buyers. Let's talk a little bit about the homestead exemption and how that can help taxpayers lower their assessed value and thusly their taxes.
Right, and the homestead exemption is the one that, is probably the largest exemption or most popular exemption that we have, and it's a right for property owners or residential property owners have to exempt a portion of their proposed or their value,
right?
So that it will not be taxable. It's up to $50,000. When it first came into being, it was $5,000. It's been it's risen over the years, but it's up to $50,000 on your primary residence. Primary being the one, doesn't mean that you live there 50% plus one. It's the one that you deem to be your primary residence. You can only have one homestead exemption in the state of Florida or anywhere else for that matter. And it's something that we do check to make sure that folks aren't trying to game the system, but allows you to take that amount off of your value for tax ad valorem tax purposes. So if let's say your property is worth $250,000, your taxable value is $250,000. Once you remove your exemption, whatever it may be, up to $50,000. So then you can only be taxed on the remaining $200,000, let's say. So it's a big thing. And then as a result of the homestead exemption, then you're covered by the Save Our Homes cap. So basically your taxable value at that point from the time that you establish a homestead cannot go up more than 3% in any given year, or inflation, which was 0.7% this past year.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's important to know these things, and it's important as a homeowner to engage with any questions that you may have. And if you just joined us, you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. We're in studio here live from iHeartRadio, beautiful South Tampa, Florida, here with Mr. Bob Henriquez, property appraiser and tax appraiser here in Tampa Bay, and helping consumers understand the impact of these things happening. And we just had opening season of football. Let's just shift gears here, talk a little football, man. Things are happening out there. Who's your surprise picks? Who are you looking at college football-wise this year?
Goodness, obviously the Houston team that people thought had a chance if they could get past a couple of the tests early. That was they look awfully strong given the schedule that they have. With the way things work, they could be a Final Four team.
Yeah.
That Notre Dame Texas game was great the other day. It's difficult for me having coached so many years, as you know, Brendan. And been on the short end of playing against you guys. Because I've had players so many different places, have friends that coached various different ways. I love Charlie Strong's just a great human being.
Yep.
Gone through tough times at Texas, turning that program around, and so I was happy for him. At the same time, being a Catholic boy, it's tough to vote against the Golden Domers, but that was just a great football game.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting. I think for most guys and gals out there now that are football fans, there's some sense of completeness when season starts, because you know what you're going to be doing until almost February.
Yeah.
Every Saturday and Sunday, and now Thursdays and Fridays and all these other days. So it's good. But it's great. Obviously, high school football starting has been exciting as well. Of course, the weather's been the big winner the first 2 weeks, I think, in Hillsborough County and elsewhere with high school football.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
a lot of rained out games and what have you.
Went to USF. I went to the home opener.
Yeah.
Played on the inaugural team back at USF for our listeners out there that may not know that. And we're talking about possibly a 10-win season here, local USF team.
Absolutely. And Coach Taggart's son is actually a freshman at Tampa Catholic, so he's bleeding the green and white. So we're proud of that.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool.
He's a pretty good looking athlete. Plays quarterback, wide out. So hopefully he can keep the winning tradition going there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That'll be neat to see how that plays out. Yeah, so talking a lot of wins with the USF Bulls. What about NFL-wise? What do you think about the Bucks?
Well, I think most the common thought is they're a year away from making that big breakout. I've had a chance to go to practice a couple times and watch them in person. I think the pieces are in place. It may take a year for everything to kind of work out. Like with everything else in the NFL, it's about injuries.
Right.
Staying healthy, and so much it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And they have a tough road early in the year. If they can get through and get a couple upsets early, obviously be on the road the first 2 weeks is difficult.
That's right.
But if they can somehow come out of the first 4 weeks, maybe 500, then I think that then they'll kind of find their footing. I'm excited about what they're doing on defense. It's a little bit different, a little more aggressive. Coach Smith, I mean, he has a certain presence about him. I don't know if you've had a chance to be out on the practice field with him, but the players seem to react differently to him. And there's a spirit, and they're going to be more aggressive. So it'll be exciting. You know, there's optimism abounds at this point of the year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, young team. You know, they're working hard. They seem to be doing the right things, making the right moves, and we'd love to see for a winning season here with the Bucks as well. And so stay with us. We're going to be talking more with Hillsborough County property appraiser, Mr. Bob Henriquez. We're also expecting our mortgage partner as well, Mark Spence, come in at any time. And you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host, Real Estate Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, and a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay. Featured in Florida Realtor Magazine, Tampa Bay Business Journal, the Tribune. Very interested in things happening here in the Tampa Bay real estate market. A lot of good things happening, and got a couple of hot listings I want to tell you about. I've got a brand new waterfront listing, 8156 Causeway Boulevard South in St. Petersburg. This is just listed, 3-bedroom, 2-bath property, direct bay access into Boca Ciega Bay, $646,000. And a great buying opportunity, as well as 18003 Cozumel Isle Drive in Tampa. $1.199 million for this beautiful Corey Lake Isle estate home. 5 bedrooms, 4 bath. A great buying opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And this segment is brought to you by Hula Bay, the official restaurant partner of the Real Estate Quarterback Show. Waterfront ambiance, great sushi, awesome food, and a great place to have parties for your business or entertain guests. Say hello to Mike Finnegan over at Hula Bay. Let him know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you for a free water with lemon whenever you go down there. Just let him know we sent you. He's going to take care of you. So we're back here in studio, iHeartRadio, beautiful South Tampa here every day, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. daily show here. It's a consumer advocate-based program to help you win. And also on the weekends, we're on 102.5 The Bone and also WeBeam TV. You can see the show stream live from WeBeam TV or our website as well at realestateradiotampa.com. We want you to save our hotline number in your phone. It's 813-917-1894.
Welcome to my house.
All right, well, let's talk about houses. We're talking about property taxes here today. Mr. Bob Henriquez, Hillsborough County property appraiser. Thanks again for coming back in, Bob.
My pleasure.
When we think about, taxes, it's one of these things we need to, have these different taxes assessed to, keep up the neighborhoods, keep the roads and everything going. And let's talk a little bit about portability as well with your homestead.
Well, I appreciate that. The portability is an issue that, or right that folks have, a constitutional right that came about back in 2008. At first we passed the Save Our Homes cap years ago. People were being quote, taxed out of their homes, particularly seniors and savers. So they passed a limitation on the amount that your taxable value can go up in any given year. We talked about that in the first segment. Subsequent to that, we found that now folks were sort of trapped in their homes because they had this great tax benefit, and folks weren't. It was kind of putting a squeeze on the market because folks wanted to keep that benefit, and so then the idea of portability came about, and it came about in 2008. With the idea that now you could take a portion of that or that tax benefit, the differential between your assessed value, market or just value, whatever that may be, and your taxable value that you accrued over the course of time, and that you could take that with you to your next home to lower your initial taxable value. And that's the portability. That's the idea of portability, to take that with you. And so it's important you have 2 tax years, not 2 calendar years, but actually tax years. So you have the remainder of the year that you're in, as well as the following year till December 31st or before January 1st of the subsequent year to actually take that with you. And it's important. And with the rising market, we've seen now with values coming back that people are actually accruing quite a bit of portability to take with them. So something that's important. If there's any questions, you file an application just like you would a homestead. You can do it at the same time. You file your homestead application for the new home. So if you abandon your homestead, in other words, you move out of your house, you sell your house, and once you purchase a new home that you plan to homestead, at that point, then you can port as long as it's within that 2 tax year window.
Yeah, it's interesting, Bob, when we think about, the taxing and Hillsborough County, we talk about, obviously our neighboring counties as well, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, even sometimes throw in Bradenton, Sarasota into the mix. Man, there's no better place, and obviously, in my opinion, I'm a little biased here, but to be buying real estate. Let's talk about the appreciation that we've seen, and then maybe a segue as well. Part 2 of that conversation. Some of these media. We were talking about the media loving to sensationalize different points of views. But sometimes the media is going to talk about, there's another bubble coming. I mean, let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, and again, a lot of it's speculation. First of all, let me just digress for a moment, because it's important for folks to understand that the property appraiser, and there's a difference. The property appraiser, tax collector, the taxing authorities, we're all separate entities. And as a constitutional officer, my job, literally as a constitutional charge, is to assess all of the property in Hillsborough County, 520,000 properties. Or thereabouts, and to assess their value on a January 1st of a given year, so 2016 January 1st. The trim notices go out, as we know, in August, so we're months and months later. We're literally historians, and so that's exactly what we do. And then also for folks that apply for various exemptions to make sure that they qualify for those. But we're not in the value business. We don't create revenue. So the sense sometimes that people think that somehow we're in league with the taxing authorities or with other folks. We're a big part of the ultimate equation that ends up going into what your taxes are, but we don't have any eye on that at all. Is when we're just being fair and equitable. That's our job,
right?
And so we don't artificially prop up the tax roll and those kinds of things. The taxing authorities come up with the millage, and of course the the factor that they come up with as a millage, they that's multiplied times the taxable value and what have you to come up with the ultimate amount that they need for their budgets and what have you. That's important to understand because we're not in the value or revenue business, and it's important because we're not part of that economic equation from that standpoint. As far as what we've seen in the market, we've seen anywhere from 6.5% to a 9% increase thereabouts countywide, and basically all types of properties. Some areas a little bit higher than others, depending obviously. South Tampa may have accrued more than some other areas, but by and large, we're seeing the entire county slowly but surely, and we're sort of back to where we were before the run-up. About 2005 in terms of per square footage value to where we were before the big run-up in that 2007, right before the recession, the Great Recession. As far as bubbles and those kind of things, I think that the fundamentals are a little bit better than perhaps what we saw back then. Right. We've had a continuation of low interest rates. We did see some investor money come in early on in my tenure as property appraiser in 2013. Yep. That sort of waned. And so slow and steady sort of wins the race. We'll have to see. There's always dire predictions out there, but I think that we're in a better place than we were certainly right before the Great Recession in terms of the fundamentals. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. But I would think that still we're fairly sound.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and I think that and the more that we talk about the jobs, we talk about the stability of jobs, we talk about the investment in infrastructure, the revitalization of downtown, and a lot of the Venick projects, things happening. I mean, there's so many positive things happening in the Tampa Bay market. Every time I take the boat out over in Clearwater, I love Freedom Boat Club, so I'm on the boat all the time. But you look back and you're seeing new hotels popping up in Clearwater Beach. I mean, just a lot of investment in infrastructure and in growth.
Yeah, and certainly there's always things that are out of our control. Things that could happen. Obviously, we saw a little scare last week with the tropical storm. If we had something like that, how that might affect it. If we, obviously some kind of global or national economic downturn that's out of our hands. Yeah. You never know about those things, and God forbid, terrorist attack or something like that that kind of shakes everything up. I will tell you that one of the things that I think will be interesting to see what happens, and this is sort of a little under the radar, but within the Save Our Homes constitutional amendment was passed. There's a 10% cap on non-homesteaded property. So people that have investment property, commercial, industrial, non-homesteaded property. That cap was placed on there. It's not portable like the Save Our Homes cap, but it was placed on there back in 2008. Actually took place. It started in January 1st, 2009. It has a 10-year sunset. It would go away January 1st, 2019. That's right around the corner. The only way it can be extended is for the legislature to put it back on the ballot in the gubernatorial year in 2018. We ran the numbers. That's about $2.6 billion of taxable value that's not on the roll as a result of this. Wow. If it were to go back on, it would all the caps would reset on all the investment property, industrial, and what have you, commercial properties. That's about a $35.4 million in today's value, $35.4 million tax increase. In Hillsborough County alone. Wow. In 2019. I'm not sure what kind of effect that might have on chilling the market, because a lot of that, because of leases and what have you, it's investment property would be passed through to the consumer. Right. That could have a real, I think, devastating economic effect. I'm hopeful that the legislature will step up and put that back on the ballot for people to consider in 2018. Now, there's certain consultants and tax reps and other people would love to see that out there because they can certainly come back and there's an academic argument as to whether or not tax caps are a good idea, but I don't think we need that kind of upheaval in our market right now.
Yeah, exactly. There's too many, things out there still. One of the big things I'm keeping my eye on and talking to different people through my, different circles I have with Tony Robbins groups and circles of platinum partners with these guys. They're talking about the currency. There's a lot of currency manipulation going on, and that could be the next bubble. It could be, and that would trickle down into a lot of different areas. So let's touch on some of that maybe, and we're going to be joined by Mark Spence with Integrity Financial Services as well, here in studio as well. And we're talking with Mr. Bob Henriquez, Hillsborough County property appraiser, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show. Your number one consumer advocate. We want to help you win no matter what you're facing. 80 partners now, and we are dedicated to helping you win as a consumer. So stay with us. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddle traveling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation. Visit Pasco County, Florida.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Ever need a doctor after hours? Well, searching won't help. But what do? You could go to the urgent care or ER, but if only there was a better way. Introducing the MNO Plus card. No waiting rooms, no copay, no consultation fee, giving you 24/7 access to a doctor by phone or online. It's easy to get started with affordable plans starting at $15 a month for a family of 5. For more information, visit mnoplus.com today.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just one or two options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex. Short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, your host here, Real Estate Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty. And this segment is brought to you by the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. Giving a big shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. The Maids, referred for a reason. And got a couple of hot listings here. Just listed a commercial property here in St. Petersburg. It's St. Petersburg Drive West in Oldsmar, 700 St. Petersburg Drive West in Oldsmar. A great buying opportunity here. It's currently operating as a barber shop, but it's a commercial lot over quarter acre, and it is listed at $295,000 in beautiful Oldsmar, Florida, over 1,400 square feet. And also 13167 Royal Pines Avenue in Riverview, just listed as well. Triple Creek subdivision, 3 bedrooms. Actually could be a 4th bedroom. It does have a closet. 4 bedroom, 2 and 1/2 bath, listed at $279,000. Just hit the MLS, over 2,562 square feet. Triple Creek community out in beautiful Tampa Bay here, Riverview. So We're back here in studio live from iHeartRadio. We're joined as well now by Mark Spence, Integrity Financial Services. He's the vice president, local lender here, well-respected lender, partner, longtime friend in the program. And also to my right here is Mr. Bob Henriquez. He's the Hillsborough County property appraiser. We're talking about ways that you can, save. You can look at your tax bill. You can go in, save your portability. You can save your homes and capping the limits there on growth, the appreciation on the taxable assessed value of your properties. So, Mark, wanted to get your opinion as well on, just in general things happening in Tampa Bay, the appreciation, the dire news that sometimes comes out and talks about potential bubbles and things of that nature as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that I believe, that you need to keep an eye on. You never know the future. No one knows what could happen. We could have something drastic happen that could hurt us, and negatively impact us. But, I just think consumers need to remember that, the mortgage industry today is very strict as far as guidelines are concerned, and they're just starting to loosen up now and get a little bit more favorable for a consumer to get approved, and especially first-time home buyers. But, the last few years, really since the downturn happened in 08, 09, 2010, the last 6 years has been pretty strict as far as, there's no 100%, loans except unless you're a veteran, which a veteran is very, 2 years of underwriting, tax return income and verifications. But everything else has down payments associated with it. You have a lot of verification now in place for everything. So, I just think it's important that consumers look at it from a standpoint of the default rate is very low. So if you have these loans that have been underwritten very well and strict, and now you've got values going up, those are good loans on the books that aren't going to go bad.
Right.
As long as the jobs stay here, like I said, if something changes and affects people's jobs, well, then there could be an issue maybe.
Right.
But, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's only going up.
Yeah.
But I just think it is something that people worry about. I hear people talk about, is this a bubble again? Is the values too high? But that's not in every area either.
Right.
Certain parts of the county haven't moved up really at all, and then some have really well. But I just think people don't realize that about the mortgage industry, and their guidelines have been very strict and underwritten well, and you have good quality mortgage paper out there that won't go bad unless something bad happens.
Yeah. There's no better investment, obviously in my opinion than, because you look at the stock market, you look at things that have happened in the past, you look at, even if you buy a piece of gold, who's holding that gold, who actually has the physical possession of the gold. You probably have a certificate saying you hold the gold, but when you buy real estate, you buy a duplex, triplex, quad, apartment complexes, you're able to buy these assets, and it's an opportunity to have it insured. It's an insurable asset. Let's face it, people have to have a roof over their head. They have to live somewhere. So there's no better opinion or in terms of investment opportunity when it comes to real estate, because you have that opportunity to put it also into your IRA.
Yeah.
Where you can, have the tax implications as well that are minimized through that process.
Yeah, and with interest rates being as low as they are today, we're back to the 1960s. As far as where rates are again, which I never thought we would see that again. That happened in 2012.
Right.
And, that was a worse economy than it is today for sure. So, to see rates where they're at and to be able to either buy an investment property or refinance an investment property and get a rate below 4%. Again, there's a lot of variables that go into interest rates, but that's still a very unbelievable rate for someone to be able to even get close to.
Yep.
So that just allows you so much more opportunity for cash flow to be able to get. Rents are going up every day. Yep. So to be an investor today is not a bad thing. It's a really great opportunity.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this. We had a close hit or a close miss here with that last storm, and if a storm came up the channel, South Tampa's always getting wet.
Yeah.
What could we do to have foresight here? Could we need to do some more dredging? Do we need to dig, the ditches out a little bit more? What should we?
Well, Mother Nature is, there's nothing man-made, I think, that can completely deal with the forces of nature. But my background, having years ago, I was actually a damage assessment coordinator for the county and did a lot of modeling and what have you. And we actually did a hazard mitigation plan for Tampa, for Hillsborough County, and I can tell you that there still are certain vulnerable assets, particularly within the port, that I think we have to be very mindful of. You can imagine, you've seen it in some of the other places where we've had major storms. But can you imagine some of the things that are close, the things that you need to have close to the port, phosphate, other hazardous materials that you load onto ships and what have you, washing into the bay, the kind of environmental disaster that might be.
Right.
Those are kind of some of the things you wouldn't imagine after the fact. So a lot of that, hopefully they've hardened some of those things. But again, the difficulty is that I think the thinking has changed years in my lifetime, and I've been around a few more years than you have, and that we haven't had a direct hit in many years, probably over right at a century, and even then, if you look back in history, we've never really been hit with anything stronger than a Category 3, which would be bad enough. Charlie kind of changed that thinking because it was a 4, made that quick right turn. Originally, it was supposed to come to us. Can you imagine if it had been a 4 or even a borderline 5? That wasn't supposed to happen because normally, and this is whether you believe in science or not, certainly we've seen some storms and do things that they hadn't done, at least in recorded history. So I'm not sure that we have any planning that really accounts for what would happen if a 4 or 5 were to hit here. Yeah. But again, the circumstances, how that happens, given the fact of where they form, what it takes to, how quickly they can strengthen and those kinds of things, and the fact that they would almost have to be sheared or steered this way from something that's coming down from the north. Now I'm starting to sound, my wife calls me barometer butt. She doesn't use butt, but anyhow, and I think that goes from all years of fishing. You better be somewhat of a weather expert if you fish and go offshore. But so we'll see what happens. Certainly, that would be that kind of upheaval, what it would cause if it was a direct hit, the kinds of literally billions of dollars of damage, and what it would take to rebuild. Gosh, who even knows what that would bring about? And certainly, we've seen the market is a bit. Has been difficult, and there's been a lot of issues coming down from Washington in terms of the flood insurance rates and that kind of stuff. Right. Hopefully people are insured. What's amazing, in Hillsborough County alone, we have, and I forgot the exact figure, but we have thousands and thousands of properties that require flood insurance because they're in the coastal high hazard area. The majority of those aren't actually on the bay or on the coast. They're actually on lakes or on rivers or other things inland that would still be affected greatly by flooding or by any kind of a major event.
Yeah, the NFIP fund just got hit really hard, several years back with Superstorm Sandy in the Northeast, and now we have our neighbors to the west there in Louisiana going through some tragedy. And, it's something to think about and plan for, and, make sure you check your policies, make sure you have your insurances, current and up to date, and proper coverages in place as well. If you just joined us, we're talking in studio here with Mr. Bob Henriquez, Hillsborough County property appraiser, as well as Mark Spence. He's the Vice President of Integrity Financial Services. So, Mark, what else you seen out there?
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a point about the flood insurance, and that's something that definitely is, could also, I think, impact the real estate market if Congress doesn't do something about that either. Right. Because the band is taken off, and they've now gone back to where they're going to start increasing all the policies 25%, a year until they get to full policy. I mean, you're talking about people that are normally used to paying $2,000 a year that live on St. Pete Beach that could now be paying $12,000 a year.
Yeah.
And to go up even 25% of the $12,000 every year, I mean, that's a huge impact. So, again, I believe Congress hopefully will do something. I think they have to. I mean, if they don't, overnight you could see a huge hindrance to our local economy. And everybody knows real estate is what's driving this economy.
Yeah.
I mean, we only have a small amount of growth, and it's all real estate driven.
That's right.
So, again, it's just about writing your congressman and keeping them involved, because unfortunately, if you don't, it's not going to happen before it's already impacting people. It's just about how fast will they get to it.
Right.
Yeah, the trickle down effect of a real estate transaction, man, it's felt so many areas with the home improvement, all the the closing attorneys, so many people involved in a real estate transaction to hinder that would be a bad thing for the Tampa Bay economy. So stay with us, don't touch that dial. We're going to talk more with our expert contributors here in studio, listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show and realestateradio.tampa.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, your host here, Real Estate Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty. And we're here in the studio live from iHeartRadio, beautiful South Tampa. Got a couple of hot listings I want to let you know about right here in Beach Park, beautiful South Tampa, Florida, 33609, one of the most desirable zip codes in all of Tampa Bay. I've got 414 South Royal Palm Way, beautiful 4 bedrooms, 3 full bath, 2 half bath property here, over 4,800 square foot heated. And it's a distinguished South Tampa home here listed at $1.195 million. Great buying opportunity. As well as 4618 West Beach Park Drive as well. It's in Beach Park subdivision here. 4 bedrooms, 3 full bath, 1 half bath. Over 2,550 square feet, listed at $799,000 for a gorgeous Cape Cod-style pool home in desirable Beach Park.
No shoes, no shirt, no problem.
All right, and this segment is brought to you by Smart Move Moving and Storage, the official moving partner of the Real Estate Quarterback Show. Say hello to Hannah and her team over at Smart Move Moving and Storage. They do a great job on a lot of our real estate moves, and as well as Target Surveying. They do a great job on a lot of the surveyings that needs to be done on real estate properties, and they do a great job here. Local rep is Shane Price. Big shout out to Shane Price. So we're back here in studio talking with Mr. Bob Henriquez, Hillsborough County property appraiser, and a longtime pillar of the community, former coach over at Tampa Catholic, and we're having a lot of fun here, talking a little football as well. And in studio with Mark Spence. He's the VP of Integrity Financial Services, local lender here in Tampa Bay. Local lender. We cannot say that enough on this show. It's all about supporting your local economy, the local lenders. You know, they're not the big bailout money guys on the corner there. You drive right past those. Go work with your local lenders here and support your local community. We want you to think of this show as the hub of your financial will, and each spoke extending out, representing another one of our preferred partners. Finest folks in all of Tampa Bay that we've assembled to help you, understand things out there, things happening, things in the news that may be a little bit misconstrued. And so let's go ahead and go into our lightning round here. All right, we're going to go top consumer tips, things to do, things to avoid. Mr. Henriquez, you're up first, sir.
Well, from our perspective, the property appraiser's office, the most important thing is when you receive your trim notice, which you should have recently, is to read through that thing. It's a wealth of knowledge about the things that affect your ad valorem taxes in Hillsborough County, and then to get with us. Let us know if there's a question that you may have, the information that's on there that we can try to address that, or that if it ends up that we end up in a value adjustment board, if you go that route. That we can work with you to try to, and we do. And I will tell you, Brendan, we have half as many thereabouts value adjustment board petitions. Those are the formal, again, appeals of people's, people that disagree with the value decisions that we make in Hillsborough County than we did when I came into office. We're proud of that. A lot of that is because we're working with folks up front, and that's a good thing, because we're not in the value business. Tie goes to the taxpayer, the property owner. They're my boss. They hired me, and I hope they'll rehire me again come November. But we look forward to working with folks, and I'm blessed to have the job that I have.
Well, that's nice. So the tie goes to the runner, kind of like the old
absolutely,
thing.
yeah.
The tie goes to the home.
And I have to tell you, I was going to say this, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it in. But I happened to watch the movie Money Monster the other day. I don't know if you've seen that yet. You need to see it just in case somebody tries to take over your show someday.
Yeah, there you
go.
Because
and it was kind of a little bit scary, but since you give such good advice to folks, but you may want to check out that movie.
That was a good movie. I saw it a couple months back.
And since you look a lot like George Clooney,
Yeah, right. Let me ask you a question too. Kind of come to mind as you were talking there, is that sometimes you go into a home, they say, we actually closed in this area, or maybe it was even something as big as a kitchen lately. I think they extended the kitchen, and maybe the previous owner didn't pull permits or whatever that situation. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. We receive permits electronically, and we send folks out on that. So if somebody's done it the proper way and gone through they've renovated their home, they've done something to add square footage, something that would be taxable, adds value, we're going to go and see those. We do in one of two ways that we review property. One is the old-fashioned way. We have our Priuses that we replaced all the old fleet with Priuses, so we're saving a lot of money and doing the right thing that way. But we'll send folks out that actually look at the property that way. The other is through what we call our Geo Viewport, which is really a way to use high-tech or high-definition aerial photography, as well as all the other technologies we have at our fingertips. It's really a national model. In fact, we just had the international conference assessors conference here last weekend, and we had a bunch of folks come in our office and do a presentation on it. But we'll find things through that from time to time that we may not have seen otherwise. If it's not permitted, then we send that information on to the proper permitting agency, the code enforcement, what have you, and they follow up on it. And then they'll follow up from there. We'll put it on the tax roll if it's something that's taxable. And then they'll make a decision. Code enforcement might make them do an after-the-fact permit or those kinds of things. I would just submit to folks that if they're going to do that, we all love to go to Home Depot and buy a bunch of stuff and and do things ourselves. But it's always better, particularly with living space, that if you're going to have your family living in there, to do it the right way, make sure you have the right wiring, the right whatever, and pull the proper permits. That's why we have that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Bob Henriquez, Hillsborough County property appraiser on the Real Estate Quarterback Show. We're also in studio here with Mark Spence, the VP of Integrity Financial Services, local mortgage lender here in Tampa Bay. So, consumer tips, things to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would just tell consumers, if you're a first-time home buyer or if you're someone that's purchased property in the past and you're wanting to refinance or even get pre-approved for a new purchase, start early. Start the process as soon as you can. If you're even thinking about it, don't say, well, I'll just wait and then I can pull my credit. I know I have good credit and let me just pull it right when I need to go with that pre-approval. Because I tell you, there's more often than not these days, there's things that show up on people's credit that they don't even know about, like a small medical collection for $25. Yep. It's crazy what can be put on your credit now that you don't even know about, that you don't even maybe owe. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it's just the way the process works. And the consumer, as Mr. Crawley always says, they don't follow the rules.
Yep.
And you can get those things taken off, but it takes time.
Right.
And if you're looking to get pre-approved and you're expecting to have a 750 credit score and now you have a 650, your interest rate's going to be much different. Your down payment could be much different. So just start the process early, get pre-approved, know what your options are, and know, because there's a lot of options for borrowers today, and understand what they are and evaluate them, make an educated decision, and then come work with you and get the loan and get the house.
Right. Yeah, and it's going to help you avoid a lot of the stress that's out there. You think you got a
That's
720,
true. It's
and
a
then
big
you,
deal,
then you
though.
come in and you have some old collection. That's the thing people do a lot of times too, is they'll pay off old collections. They'll say, I'll just pay it.
That hurts,
and then you're bringing a derogatory current, which is the way that the credit bureaus read that. So there's a lot of misconceptions out there, a lot of misnomers in the community, and so that's what we want to help you. We want to help you with that. And so I got a nugget of advice for you here. And if you caught last week's show, I said it on last week's show, but it's such a good one, I want to repeat it. So nugget of advice, business owners, this pretty much applies across the board to anyone, really. And it's that there's no such thing as multitasking. So a recent study that was done, it says 28% of your productive thinking is waste. And basically all you're doing is you're switching between two tasks. So, for example, you can't be on a conference call and check your emails at the same time. You're switching is what you're doing. And here's the deal. It says switching makes you dumber than being stoned. It says, according to CNN. So switching between tasks, your IQ is going to be actually 10% lower. And actually, when you're stoned, it's 5% lower. So here's the deal: don't multitask is a thing. It's a thing of the past. You shouldn't really focus on that if you want to be as productive as you can. And most people are going through their day totally baked out of their minds if they're multitasking improperly. So
wow, how about that?
Interesting. CNN.
And I'm that strange guy out there that's never smoked pot, but I've been wasted for years and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should rethink that.
Yeah.
Yeah, switching.
That?
So that's something that a lot of people, you'd hear about that, but there's interesting study done on that, and talks about how also taking that further is the power of focus. Most people lose we're atrophy. As we work out, we gain muscle. As we stop using those same muscles, we atrophy. But so most people are losing the ability to focus in this texting, tweeting, and twerking world we live in with the phones and the things happening out there. So. We got about a minute left, Bob. So parting words of advice for our listeners out there?
Well, again, I think, and we've had, I think this has been a great discussion. Thank you, Brandon, for having me again. Continue to don't listen to all the dire things out there. Things are good. We live in paradise.
Yes.
I was fortunate to have about 1,400 people here last week for the International Assessors Association. The mayor was very happy.
Nice.
His advice to him was spend every nickel, and I think a bunch of them did. But I think that when folks come here, and it gives me a different perspective. You know, we live here, and we did a fishing tournament. We took a bunch of people out in the bay, and some folks were from Iowa and Nebraska and other places where they had never been fishing or been in any kind of environment like that, and they just everybody has the same reaction. And I think we take things for granted sometimes here of living in paradise and that. So just be positive, be optimistic. November will come and go. The world will not end.
Yes.
And regardless, of our choices, other than hopefully me, I would like to be one of those choices. But
yes.
I think there's a lot of good things happening out there. The markets has certainly been slow and steady, sort of wins the race. So
excellent.
I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure. We always close the show the same way. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time, same time and place.